Thank you to our sponsor, Tipsy Trailer. If you are looking for something unique, looking for that special experience for your celebration, Tipsy Trailer is the answer. Tipsy Trailer is a luxury mobile bartending and photo booth company that offers a unique experience for you and your guests. Custom-built mobile bars, vintage photo booth trailers, craft cocktails, friendly and educated staff, high-quality service, and equipment are just the beginning of what you can expect when choosing Tipsy Trailer. We pride ourselves on being a little extra by going above and beyond for our clients and ensuring that people not only love the cocktails, the setup, and their photos, but that they love their experience overall. We just had them at our holiday party at the beginning of December, and we can attest to the quality and experience of going with Tipsy Trailer. So if you have an upcoming event, do not hesitate to check out their very exciting Instagram and book them.
Hey there, food enthusiasts, corporate admins, and event planners. Ever dreamed of a catering experience as unique as you, with the simplicity you've always wished for? Well, dream no more. Welcome to Chef Dane Catering, where ordering is as easy as savoring the first bite.
Chef Dane started as my personal chef in 2000, creating mouth-watering meals for friends and family. Now, Chef Dane Catering brings that personal touch to your special occasions, from corporate luncheons, past appetizers, to plated dinners.
What makes us stand out? Well, it's pretty simple. Our friendly staff, straightforward pricing options, and hassle free event planning. Whether it's an intimate dinner for 10, a laid back neighborhood barbecue, or a grand celebration for 500, our team is here to support you every step of the way.
We believe in a personal touch, taking the time to understand you and the unique details of your event. Our culinary team's versatility and expertise ensure a well-balanced meal and menu for any occasion.
With seasonal, high quality ingredients, we create culinary masterpieces for every taste. Chef Dane Catering, where your event dreams come to life.
Ready to make your event unforgettable? Call us today at 206 794 0812. That's 206 794 0812. You can also email us at info@chefdane.com. Chef Dane Catering, your event, your way. Taste the difference.
Welcome to the Coast Podcast. I'm Emilie, a virtual assistant agency owner who left Amazon in 2019 to build my dream.
And I'm Whitney, a freelance writer and communications consultant who never felt at home in a cube farm.
We wanted to learn from people who paved their own ways like we did. So we created this podcast to talk to others who are brave enough to pick a different path. Creatives, entrepreneurs, people doing their careers and their lives their way.
Join us as we make new friends, get inspired, and show you beautiful paths less traveled.
Not every road leads to the coast, but the ones that do come with a great view.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Coast. My name is Whitney Popa, and I own a communications consultancy in Edmonds, Washington.
And my name's Emilie Given. I own a virtual assistant agency in Lynnwood, Washington. And today I would love to introduce you to Laura. Laura Panozzo is the visionary founder and CEO behind Marryment, an innovative wedding planning service that has taken Chicago by storm. With a decade of experience in project and change management, Laura's journey to becoming a pioneering force in the world of weddings is as surprising as it is inspiring. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, it's my pleasure. That intro is always a lot more formal than I think it's gonna be.
Well, it's nice to have like a bio. Whitney wrote all my bios, so she gets it. She gets it has to sound snazzy. So yeah, so in your own words, like, what do you do?
Yeah, so you hit it on a lot of the points. So I'm a wedding planner in Chicagoland. We have the traditional planning and coordination services that you would expect. So when a couple is engaged and they're looking for assistance, either planning their wedding with help in advance or that coordination on site on the day, we offer both of those services. The visionary, more tech forward piece of that, we do have an app in development that I'm super, super excited about. Not only is that going to assist our current clients, but really looking ahead to a different way to plan your wedding beyond sort of the cookie cutter tools that are available out there today. Having a more curated, personalized experience is really the goal there. So hoping to have that live here in 2024 and then see what comes next.
That's exciting. I've always been interested in building a software too, but I'm not a tech person. So it's like really, it's interesting. Like, are you white labeling or are you building it completely from the ground up?
So building it completely from the ground
Dang.
up. Yeah, and I would always consider myself like tech
Hmm.
adjacent. I don't think I could ever convince anyone that I was actually tech, but having had enough experience in
Yep,
corporate, projects and those being built, at least I have some of the vocabulary and some experience to do
totally.
that. But yeah, no one is going to ask me to write a single keystroke.
Whitney and I were both at Amazon at one point, and I always call myself like a non-tech person. Like, like I
Yeah.
worked in tech for a long time. I can kind of get through the lingo, but not. I can't have a full-on conversation with you about the intricacies of it. So that's really cool.
And I actually made it a goal for myself to not be in tech
Yeah.
in Seattle. And that worked out for me, but it was a harder path to navigate. So I would do more consumer tech type stuff. And then when you said app, I was thinking too, my husband, he speaks that language. And so in his job, he goes between the business and the developers, and it really is two completely different languages. And I read a book last year from the founder of ClassPass, and
Mm,
she had no experience building anything. She just had this idea. And I think, like what you said, that she was able to speak enough language to say what problem she wanted solved to be able to talk to the engineers.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that process has been like for you in communicating and getting these things built in a way that works the way they want it to and is couple and user friendly.
yeah. Well, you'll have to ask me that question again in about 6 months since we are still
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
early in the process. But when I was thinking about what we needed to do here, some of the principles that I always wanted to make sure was the classic build, measure, learn, iterative life cycle for all of these various things. So not biting off too much at any one given point, like only addressing things that I knew from very personal experience with live consumers in the market that needed to be addressed and get after those first. Now, I certainly have bigger dreams, right, in terms of what I think this could be and things that I want to add into it ultimately. But really starting at that teeny tiniest, smallest nugget and then building from there. And really what I had done first was everything that I'm doing in the first iteration of the app was very much like how I would run my planning meetings. So the life cycle of like one of my coordination clients, which is very much my bread and butter, is the average life cycle for that is about 6 months. So they book me about 6 months in advance, but the shortest has been 3 weeks in advance for someone to come on site on the day. And between 6 months and approximately 4 to 6 weeks out, they can ask me questions periodically, but there's very little interaction with them. So I'm kind of coming in about a month out with very, very little information. And obviously, that was a huge point for me as a coordinator to say, what am I sort of getting into? And during that first conversation with them, it always took approximately 2 hours to get the information out. And we're going through things like their vendor list, what are their open items for each of those areas, how has their relationship been like with them? Are they responsive? Are they ghosting? Like, how much do we have to lean into this? Talking about their ceremony and then talking about the timeline. And each of those areas independently are big areas for a couple, right? Like those are sort of the summation of the entire day in one form or another. And to get that information out of their head and onto paper for myself or one of my other planners to execute on was a long, time consuming manual challenge. So starting to add in little Google forms or starting to add in, videos that I can send them in advance or starting to add in these components along the way, but not having really that holistic end-to-end solution yet. It painted a very, very clear picture for me for what we needed in this first go around. But am I remembering correctly too? You're both married?
Yep.
Yes.
We're both married.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went through the rigmarole.
I got an eye twitch
We
from
also
planning my wedding.
just planned our wedding.
Our wedding
and
together,
threw our
yes.
wedding together. So we actually threw like a big holiday party for entrepreneurs, but it was literally planning a wedding. It was, you had to have a DJ, a caterer, a videographer, the photographer, the timeline. It was nuts. And somehow well, not somehow, thanks to Alicia, our amazing coordinator assistant, we pulled it off. I was going to say somehow we pulled it off. She was a huge, amazing help.
I was a husband who forced RSVPs and then showed up.
We had so much fun, but
Which
like
is great. I get
there
it.
is so much work that goes into it, and if you have somebody that you can just like tell your vision to and they make it happen, it's so much easier.
We were just talking in our debrief about maybe hiring a planner.
Yeah. Did you have a coordinator or a planner for your wedding, Whitney?
I mean, yes, but I would not count her because she was more work than she was worth. She was also the mayor of a small town near where we got married, and it's a small
Like actually the
town
mayor?
area.
Oh.
Yes. Anyway, and she was so awful that that's why I got the eye twitch. I would have been better off planning my own wedding than having somebody over. So Washington, West Side, a lot more Seattle people. East Side, more smaller towns. We got married on the east side of the mountains. And there's not really like many planners over there. So that's why they have multiple jobs, and I'm down to support her. It was awful. She just kept asking for more money and not doing anything.
Yikes.
Well, that was going to be my question. Did she come with the venue or did you find her separately?
I think she came with the venue, but she was an added cost, and that she should have been paying me by the end of it.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry that was your experience. Like, and it's those types of horror stories, right, that are so motivating to me. The number one comment I hear, other than "Oh my God, my coordinator sucked," was, "Where was this when we were planning our wedding?" And just to hear that over and over and over and over again also just really illustrates to the fact to me that's like there is space for this. Like even though there's not in the wedding wire and Zola and these tools, these industry leaders out there, because everyone is having this very shared, very negative experience, like there's room for improvement. And if not me, then who, sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
let's go do it.
And I would imagine, makes it a little bit more accessible for people too, because at least in our experience when we were getting married, it's not like we were poor by any means, but it's overwhelming the amount of
Yes.
expenses and things you have to pay
Yes.
for, and the fights. My mom was like completely she drew the line on the cake. She was like, I can't pay X amount for this cake. I just can't justify it in my mind that it would cost like over $1,000 for a cake.
Yeah.
And so there were certain things that we paid for and that she paid for and that his parents paid a little bit for. But, for us to consider having a coordinator, that's a whole other added cost. And if we could
Mhm.
have it at, a lot of these things that come, I don't know what it costs, but like when they become a platform or a SaaS type thing, then it makes it easier for people. We were just working this weekend with a woman who runs a online prenup company, and it was like $600 versus $1,200 if you go through a lawyer. And she was like, I feel like we're kind of expensive. And I said, that's half the price of a lawyer though. Like I think she was comparing to other SaaS products generally, but like as far as pricing goes, if especially for my husband, if he could have techified the process and kept me from getting an eye twitch. I mean, I don't think you're going to Eastern Washington anytime soon, but maybe the technology will be there in the future where it saves people a lot in every direction.
Exactly. And I mean that's one of the selling points, one of the talking points here is, it's a tenth of the price of a standard planner. And you still get access to people who are familiar with your event, who can be helpful with your details, and be that really reliable, helpful source, throughout the process. But you're getting the content and the reassurance and the confidence throughout. It's like nothing's falling through the cracks. We're thinking about the right things. We're approaching this in a meaningful and thoughtful way. Check, 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 check. And then the last piece of it, and again, Whitney, it sounds like this was not your experience, but there is no substitute for someone on site on the day, right? That is inherently an unscalable piece.
Yeah.
But if you can present the information to everyone in advance in a very organized fashion, everyone knows what's going on. You've done 90% of the
Yeah.
battle. Like
Yeah.
that's you've already gotten after
Ugh,
it.
the only thing she did on the wedding day that was semi helpful was get my friend's daughter, our flower girl, milk when she was having a meltdown. That was it. Even the bartender, she was adamant you had to get licensed bartenders. She knew people, and then it was like her friends who were hairstylists and not licensed. And it was this whole everything was drama. But thankfully she got that little girl some milk.
I've actually thought a lot about going into some sort of event planning, wedding planning like that because I own
You're so good at it.
I own a virtual assistant agency and we have people that specialize in event planning. However, I don't love the weekend component of it. And like the on-site component is really hard too.
And the dickishness of stressed out people and their
Yes, I'm like,
families.
people are not chill about their weddings.
No.
There is no chill. It's like they get this opportunity one time in their life, they're dropping a ton of money. Like, what made you run toward Bridezilla? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, first off, I think that we can all do just the public collective benefit of like trying to reduce the language of the bridezilla, right? Like I do think it's because we continue to all perpetuate
but it is
that
stressful though.
bridezilla exists.
But
It's
it
incredibly
does.
stressful.
I feel
You
like
were you a
Mhm.
bridezilla? Because I was not. I when you were saying that, I was thinking more of the families. The families are the
no,
stressful
yeah,
part.
you're right. I
Like
was not.
parents of
I'm a
kids,
chill
kids are not.
person, but it's also a lot at stake. And like you do get stressed out, but I mean, like there's no excuse for being an asshole, right? Like let's just call it how it is.
Well, and exactly to that point, if you had asked me this question even just a few weeks ago, I would have, I would have gone to the grave saying that I'd never had a bridezilla, then I had a bridezilla. But I do think it is a situation where I do have a very high tolerance for people operating in stress behaviors and recognizing where it's like this isn't you, like this
This is
is
a trauma
not.
response. Like, yeah, yeah.
Seriously. And so it's like I try to bring that energy to those conversations, and there has to be sort of a freakishly calm, chill component to it, because if you let any of that start to influence how you're behaving, how I'm showing up, then you're going to be a bad
Yeah,
coordinator.
you're
Like
gonna
you're
spin
not
up
going
real
to be
quick.
able
Yeah.
to. Exactly. And people are looking to you, right? Like they're looking for the person in the black jumpsuit with the clipboard to tell them what to do and to be calm. And if that's what I always say too, it's like if you see me freaking out, then you know that we're actually in a situation that needs some urgent attention. If I'm good, everything's
That's
good.
actually a really good rule of thumb for like everyone. Like, if the nurse is freaking out, you should freak out. If the doctor's freaking out, you should freak out. If the coordinator is freaking out, you can freak out. If everyone's chill, shh, shh, like
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah,
You're like, you're
I
fine.
yeah.
feel like Laura has some PR training. Like the way media training, the way that you're able to phrase things of like, yeah, you're an asshole. It's a stress response, like. And you have to have that hat on. All you can control is you. And I say this for clients too. I don't believe in paying my dues at this point or having dealing with shitty people. I just don't sign those people on. And sure, like you can be down the path with these people who are having a freak out at the end, but it's more so of like what you're building minimizes, you would think would minimize some of that.
Yes.
Maybe there's a chat function in it and they can have some
Hmm.
questions answered.
It links
And
to the
then
chat therapy thing.
Right.
and then like for any business, I believe that you can go into as the founder saying, like, we just don't deal with assholes. It's just not the business that we're in. And sure, like bridezillas exist, but they're not acting that way with us.
Well, and I
And
guess
it's
like
like an energetic, like,
exactly.
you
If
know,
you like decide and you put that energy out there, you're not going to attract this those people. You're gonna attract the
yeah,
chill people.
Right. And I mean, even the people who inherently aren't as chill, right? Like, given the right tools and the right support, they're going to be generally reasonable, right? I'm not ever going to speak in absolutes here because again, like I finally had my first like this is inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Like
And do you call them
like
on it?
you I my silence said everything, I think, in that moment because I collected myself and just walked away without saying anything, versus like offering her what I would typically, provide more guidance or like more console in that moment. But I collected myself and walked away, and I came back a little bit later, and we were all right. But yeah, that was
It's also not like you're trying to keep that customer, and
Right.
that's a gift to you
Retention.
of like, yeah, you don't have to worry about like, oh my gosh, I want to work with this person again on their next project. Like, nope,
well,
maybe.
number one,
But
I was gonna say, funny is my husband always says I have to offer a 50% discount for
Oh my
repeats. I'm
God.
like, all right, that's not exactly the message I'm trying to put
That's
out there,
that's
funny.
so
but
funny.
I know. And then the second though, I mean, it's so heavily referral based though,
Right.
right?
Like,
Like
yeah.
inherently, yes, massively referral based. And again, like if that's sort of the attitude of the person front and center, perhaps I'm not as interested in making sure that all of those bridesmaids and groomsmen also have merriment services along the way. But and those people will come, right? And I think my tolerance for them has certainly increased throughout the year. But a little bit of background. So I've been doing it part time for about 5 years, and when I say part time, I do mean like very part time. But I had officiated a number of weddings. Like I did like bartending and catering for weddings, like just because I loved it. Like I had a pretty high profile corporate job. So it wasn't about like supplementing income or anything like that. It's truly just because I loved the industry and I loved being around that. Like I did love the weekends and the on-site and the high stress. Like I don't know what it is inherently about like my personality or whatever that drew me to it, but like I knew that I wanted to be in that space. So then when I got married, so engaged in 2017, married in
Me too.
2018.
Married in
um
2018.
uh, Wonderful. When?
July 22nd.
September
Nice.
15th. So we'll have to remember and celebrate some
Yes.
anniversaries. But yeah, like, going through that experience too, I think was so illuminating to me in a number of ways. First, like seeing like the shitty things in the industry, right? Like the predatory pricing and this prevalence of like bridezilla mentality. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like this. And then also just like inferior products really got to me. Like that really made me mad. But
Question for you. In Chicago, do you feel like the wedding industry is very collaborative? We've just had some experiences where it's very clicky and like mean girl
Yeah,
energy.
I was
So
like,
I'm
you're thinking
curious to
the
see
same thing
like
I am.
where I mean, is it the
yeah,
same wherever you go?
very, very interesting question. And again, just speaking from my own experience, like most people are super cool, right? I mean, I don't think you can ever speak in absolutes, but again, like people who are in the industry and doing well and making it sort of thing, like I do think that oftentimes they are cut at least from a similar cloth. And and having these experiences, and you can kind of like laugh about the same things and like have those shared experiences. So the people that I run with, I think, are super cool. But as I'm saying that sentence, perhaps it's inherently clicky. So
I mean,
And it might be clicky outside of the industry. We were brought in as speakers for a quarterly an organization's quarterly meeting, and they just they were really great at coordinating the event. They were not great at having outsiders come in and hosting them appropriately.
sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think too, it's very much dependent on like your price point, right? Who you're serving. I do also think really influences not only the demographic of your couple, but also probably the people that you're bringing on for staff. I attract a mid-market, budget-friendly audience. And I think it just inherently with that, like that comes with sort of a different personality than someone who is spending $300,000 on their wedding, right?
yes.
And like I've had that experience. I've been there. I've done that on the day, but and it's all proportional, right? It's all relative to your situation and where you're at in life. So I never in any way want to downplay the significant expense that comes along with it, if that's $10,000 or $100,000 or beyond. But I perhaps haven't had as much firsthand of that super, super high intensity just because it wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line for the day.
Well, good. I'm glad that you like are loving what you're doing and have had a great experience. Like, so you said you've been doing this part-time for 5 years. Are you full-time now?
I am. I went full time March of 23. So I have finished my first full wedding season in Chicagoland.
Amazing.
Thank you. It's wonderful and terrifying and all of the things.
And
But
now you're getting all the photos.
right, right. Photos and videos. Got to update
Mm-hmm.
the website.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a shared experience, and I know becoming a little bit of a repeat here on this podcast as well. But I was a member of the Blocks, so I was on season 7, and that shot in January of 2023. And so I went into that experience very much just with a fledgling build business, what I thought was a good idea, but I just really didn't know, and got a lot of validation, a lot of motivation during that experience, during that week. Came home, was like, okay, can I do this part time? Can I keep doing this with a corporate job that, and again, frankly, I loved. I loved my corporate job as well. But it's like I started trying to do that and so quickly became 100% burnt out, where it's like, all right, if not now, then when? Like if I don't take this plunge, I literally never will. I will never be more motivated than I am at this exact moment. I gotta go.
I felt that energy from Emilie when she came back from the
Oh my
blocks. And
God,
she
yeah.
even said that to me. She was like, I'm in such masculine energy right now. So I just want you to know that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the momentum is there for a long time. I will say, like, eventually it catches up to you and you just like crash really hard. There's that level right now for me, but like even just going back over alpha blocks and going back over the lessons, and you just got back from grad school. I'm doing grad school. We don't have an in-person date yet, but I'm going back, and then I'm actually a casting director for the blocks now. So like,
Emily, I am too. We have a lot
yeah,
in common. So
yeah, I have a call right after this. So um
amazing. Yeah, I'm just spinning up here at the end of the month.
awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
we like to stay involved. It's the community is amazing. So yeah, I think that's actually a castmate of mine, Keisha, on season 9, sent her resignation letter while we were like sitting at the blocks office, just like waiting. I was like, send
Baller.
it, send it, send it. And she's like, boom, sent it. And we're all like, yeah. Like it's
What a
it's
power move.
such
Oh my
like
God.
amazing like energy. And so it's great to connect with people who have experienced it too. And I think Whitney's like secondhand experiencing it too. I'm like, let me. And she's like, she loves Wes, so from the challenge.
I watched the challenge and I have watched the challenge since it started. And I think Wes is super smart.
So
And I
smart.
think he was on the seasons
Oh my
when
God, he's so
I
smart.
was so I went into labor after watching an episode of the challenge both times with both my kids.
That's
So
amazing.
like I give credit to the challenge and potentially to Wes for helping induce labor for my body. But I just love it. And it keeps getting better too. Like they have bigger budgets. Like it's so popular
I
that
have never seen one episode. Have you, Laura? Me neither.
oh my
Mm-mm,
gosh,
nope.
it's so
No,
good.
I started following like the Instagram and stuff though, so I did get the benefit of at least catching those details. But I kind of liked
Me too.
not knowing his other
Me too.
personas. Like after I had met him in this very specific context, I kind of
Yep.
like having that be my frame of
Oh yeah,
reference.
I followed him on Instagram first, and I knew he was a reality TV. I knew what show he was on. I had never seen it. Followed his personal Instagram, and I was like, I hate this guy. And then I went on the blogs, and I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. Like he's just such a good
He
person and like so
Well,
smart.
and
And
he is, yes,
I hope he
100%.
listens to
I'm so
this.
sorry for
Wes, I
talking
love
over for
you.
you,
I
right?
love you.
Wes. Yeah, he is the master of persona
Oh my
too,
God, yeah.
right? Like just the ability to have crafted this character, but simultaneously be this this business leader that we so look up to. And he really walks the walk from that regard, and I admire that so much about him.
Seriously. Like, perfect reality TV douchebag asshole, perfect cult leader, business person, amazing. Like,
Your words, not mine.
yes.
What from each of you, what's your favorite thing that he taught you at the blocks or his organization?
Oh, it's so hard to pinpoint.
It's observing his behaviors. It's not a thing that he
Hmm.
taught, right? I mean, the curriculum's incredible, don't get me wrong. Like, so finely tuned to entrepreneurship and the unique challenges there, but he is like the total
Yep.
embodiment of like, go do it,
Yep.
go do it, go test it. Stop thinking about it, stop effing around, like go do it. And to a fault, some may say, but certainly not my
I
experience.
think for me, it's the culture that he built. Like, what he has built around this curriculum, and he's doing these, the shows and the challenges and the competition. Yeah, that's great. But then also we get lumped into like this bigger community of everybody else who's been on the show, and like the support and it's just incredible what he's built. Like,
Yeah.
he is the true embodiment of like building a community that continues to
Oh yeah.
support itself.
Oh yeah, and he cares so
Right.
deeply about that community. And as it grows, right, there's new challenges associated with that certainly. And I think that's so interesting. Like you get 1,000 people together for anything, and there's going to be
Bad apples, right?
some
Yeah.
well, some bad apples are just some like human
Yeah.
dynamics,
Yeah.
right? Like there's shit's gonna go down. And like, how do you continue to manage that, but still foster this space where people can connect and have these like super meaningful long-term relationships? And yeah, it's not an easy job.
No.
I am so grateful for him and what he's doing and his vision for it. It's a
Well,
lot.
and then like putting yourself in a position to mentor thousands of people like that. And like everyone's like, "Oh, I should ask Wes." Like, Wes knows what to do. And like, imagine the pressure. That's a lot.
Something that my trainer said to me yesterday that I think will really resonate with both of you is I manage a co-working space and head up our marketing and events too, and we're very mom and pop shop in the town that I live in. It's just been amazing. We've been really indexing on community and helping small businesses grow in our community. So it's similar, adjacent to what Wes is doing with the blocks, but like very niche to our community. And I was working out with my trainer yesterday, and he was saying, I was talking about this workshop that we just hosted here over the weekend, and he was saying, I love what you guys are doing at the co-working space and just the workshops that you're putting on, because the more small businesses that we can have in this country, the better, because our country is like better off by supporting small businesses and people going and doing their own things. And that's props to Wes as well, of like when you go and support people in supporting their dreams and set them up for success, and with these resources and tools and people who can help them get to the next step, everybody benefits. And I even woke up this morning and I was thinking, I have two cats, one's a kitten, and they were just being nuts at like 4:30 a.m. and then I kind of dozed back to sleep until about 5:30 when I get up, and I was just thinking, I'm so excited to wake up, like working for myself. And I had so much anxiety that I still am working on getting out of my body, that's like no longer mine and part of my current life. But the fact that I get to wake up and be excited and happy, I don't have Sunday scaries. I don't have any of that, because I get to pursue the things that I love every day. And I love that for me and for the people that, it's right for and who want it. I want that for them too. And to have that connection that you guys have and we have in a different way here, to just be able to really support each other, even just the giving each other permission to go out and do it and send the resignation letter. Like she needed that moment where you're like basically like hotboxing her
I mean, it
to
was
like,
pretty cool.
yes.
And what you're describing too is like such a micro and macro component to this. Like, okay, what Wes is doing, on the TV show and everything else. Okay, maybe that is a more macro, like more national international thing that they're working on, but like that only survives too with like those micro
Yeah.
components, like not only what you're doing, but it's just like these micro groups that then ultimately coexist within the blocks, because you're always going to connect more deeply with some than others, right? There's no two ways around that either. And so to find that like really niche like support system too, and it's like even if they're not doing anything close to like wedding planning or app development, right? Like it doesn't have to be even in the same universe to make that really beautiful. And as you were talking though, I had a very sassy comment of like, yeah, we don't get the Sunday scares because we don't have Sundays anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
why.
mean, I was working on Sunday, but it didn't feel like it. Like I said,
Right.
even 5 hours felt like 5 minutes of us teaching. And one of the things that we did, so I was working on with people on the words on their website. My business partner was working on the design because she has a branding studio and she builds websites. And so we've worked on a lot of websites together. And I mean, our minimums are 5 figures for our clients. And we were able to bring this to 10 people in a concentrated environment. And their buy in was under $100. And one guy launched his website and I was like almost crying because I was like, I
Yes.
love this for you, for us. Like, it's just we're, giving each other so much. And yes, I work probably more and I'm so much happier. So I would
Yeah.
rather,
Yeah.
I mean,
But it doesn't feel, I know it's so cliche. It's like when you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life or whatever. It's so true though. And
So
especially when
true.
you're doing it for yourself.
and you have a larger mission too. Like
Right.
I believe I have a larger mission that I'm going after, and you probably too do too, Laura. Of like, even if it's a super broad thing of helping people be less stressed about their big events, and you probably have a roadmap of where you want to take the app, or that's lodged in your subconscious. It's still like you're providing so much value to people, and that's got to feel good.
Oh, it does. And even on the very, very small individual scale, what I say about the weddings that I do too, I see the most intimate and vulnerable moments of some people's lives, right? Like I see the first looks and like right before they go down the aisle and like the minutes after they're married, and like I get chills talking about it. I do. It's because like the best man's not there, the parents aren't there. It's me. Like I'm there seeing this, like witnessing this. And it's like I never once take that for granted or, in any way like downplay the significance and importance of that. It's like I see something that these individuals, this couple, even their dearest friends and family members don't see. And so I carry that in my heart and I try to carry that through, for all the other planning too.
You're such a kind-hearted person. Like I can just feel your like kindness radiating off of you.
Uh, I've I've been called worse, so
I love it though. That's so great.
Let's rapid. Yeah, and you don't have to. Your version of rapid does not have to be anyone else's version of rapid. So just keep that in mind as you're rapiding. First question: what are you proudest of in your business right now?
I am proudest of like bringing on new team members into my business. So supporting seasoned planners, but also like junior talent. And I'm going to use the feminine here just generally because most wedding planners and coordinators identify as female. So there's like these incredible young women who come into my ecosystem, and some of them have like really terrible scenarios that they're coming from. It's like you will never have to spend 1 ounce of energy working for me to make sure that you're safe or to make sure that that you're not dealing with some of these incredibly difficult scenarios that they come from. Like you will never have to spend that mental energy again. So I get very, very mama bear with that.
Even you guys were saying at our party, you and Alicia were saying like, "Yeah, we thrive in chaos because it's a trauma response," and I was like,
That's true.
Well, and again, like let me talk more specifically about that too, right? Like it's the meat of it. Like these women coming from like sexual harassment situations or something like that, where okay, I know we're laughing about it, but it's like she was afraid to go to work,
That's so
and like
horrible.
that. Well, and this is someone that I had such immediate respect for, just like I could see from across the room how competent she was. And like this young woman to be taken advantage of like that. I'm like, no, 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 not on my watch.
Right. And then
What a gift.
you hire people who are like, I'm so sorry. My son is sick. I'm so sorry. I'll be online as soon as I can. Like, I'm going to take him to the doctor and I'll be online. I'm like, no, take the day off. You're fine. Like, like the power to do that when you have a small business is pretty awesome. Like, not just the power, but like the ability to gift someone that, or to have them create the culture and where that's okay. Like, we want you to take care of your family first. That's pretty special in being a business owner.
Yeah. And to just reinforce over and over that she's safe and give her permission to be safe with you is huge and beautiful. That's cool. Tell us about a book you read or a podcast you listened to recently that changed the way you're thinking about your life or your business.
I don't have a great answer for books and podcasts right now. I'll say I have been going through like a very, very stressful few months, like wrapping up wedding season. We moved into a new house a couple weekends ago, getting ready for the blocks grad school, all the things. And so I very much turned my attention to like not business related books and podcasts very intentionally.
Yeah.
Same.
Um,
I've been.
yeah. And so I can answer that question far more specifically, but I'm really into like Dungeons and Dragon podcasts at the moment, which is so
Oh.
ridiculous. But it started, there's one called The Adventure Zone, and I just like straight up binged. Like, I got the Spotify wrapped, and I was like one of the 3% listeners of this stupid
That is
podcast.
amazing.
I freaking love it. So yeah, that's where a lot of my media attention had been going. But in the furthering the spirit of answering that question too, like that was very much the balance that I needed and I sought during that time. But I do see myself now going more into, you know, I'm not going to call it productive because it's not the word that I want to use here, but it's like the more business oriented topics, specifically in the software space. So Whitney, you started to even mention, some stuff from ClassPass. I'm like, oh, I love that. Like I took a little mental note initially. It's like, especially other female founders and especially female in tech, like
Mm-hmm.
that's where I want to be for a
You
little
should
bit.
listen to our episode on Harlow. Sam
Mm,
Andrel and Andrea Wilt. They built a software for like freelancers, and it's like operations software. But I think that'd be
awesome.
really cool for you. And I can make a personal connection too. Sam is
Yeah, I
awesome.
was gonna say
Sam is awesome. Yeah.
I would be open to asking her if she would be open
Yep.
to,
Yep.
because I'm sure she loves talking to other female founders and she's learning a lot and sharing a ton
She is
along the way
so
too. She's
inspirational.
very, yeah, even just signing up for their newsletter, you'll learn a lot from them. It's a lot of
Awesome.
value there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and their website is meetharlow.com, MEET Harlow, HARLOW.com.
Awesome.
They're kind of a project management client CRM type thing for freelancers. And then she also has a job board that she launched, and
She's
it's
also
just
like
great.
an angel investor now, right?
Yeah, and so I was, I think, a junior or a senior when she was a freshman coming in to my sorority in college, and I knew, some people you just know. Like I knew this person is a getter when she walked in the house. I was like, we better get this one. She's from a small town, middle of nowhere, Idaho, and I knew she was going places, and she has. So
Yeah.
you would really like her.
That's the thing about being an entrepreneur is like you connect with each other and we're all like, yeah, get it, get it, get it. We all can support each other, and it's a unique kind of energy that you don't necessarily get in
Yes.
corporate.
I love to
Yes.
reply to her emails too, because when you put out a newsletter, people feel like it's not really you, and I always say that it is. Like, please reply to me so we can have a conversation, like if you want to,
Mm-hmm.
but like something that you'd like to discuss. And so I like to do that to her because karma. But I actually genuinely have something to say too. Like, you go, girl, even if it's just that. What would your last meal be?
My last meal. would be wildly unhealthy. I'm talking like multi courses, like decadent, rich, like filling, greasy, juicy. Like I inevitably have a sweet tooth. It does not matter how much I've eaten, so there's going to be dessert in there. But I, you know, I've had enough bad banquet meals in my line of profession where it's like, just give me a really, really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I need
It's like that table on hook.
specifics.
Specifics. There's going to be a steak. We're going to have some red meat.
Yes.
We're going to have like garlic drizzled vegetable whatever in there, with like butter just like dripping off, like probably like a mashed potato situation.
This is the favorite part of my
However,
podcast. I'm
Yeah,
just like, I
naturally.
love this. I'm
yeah,
like, yes.
as I'm going through too, yeah, let me comment though on the coolest thing that I've eaten recently. I would
Oh,
not
I'm
say if it
down
was
for
going to be
that.
in my
Yeah.
last meal. At grad school, they like really amped up like the food quality,
Woohoo.
and it was called Eggs on Eggs, and it's caviar on scrambled eggs, and
Yum.
it was bougie. I loved it.
Yum.
I do caviar on like an omelet. Yeah, I do that. Remember, we have that caviar thing I need to bring to your house.
Yeah, caviar is so salty that I
So
can see it
good.
being good on eggs like
Eggs on
that.
eggs. That's so
Yum.
Yeah,
fancy.
Yeah,
it was very fancy. It was very
I love
fun.
that.
that's so cool. What's the best business purchase you've made under $100 in the last 6 months?
Ooh, under 100. Let's see. Wasn't under 100, so I'm going to answer this first because it is far and away the best business purchase, and then I'll come back to the 100. But like my Apple Watch for planning. Like I don't know how I function without a smartwatch like on site for to
Mm.
start, because like if my phone doesn't vibrate, or if I like can't see the messages coming through, or if I don't have like quick access to the timeline like at any given second, then it's like game over.
I think that count.
For
You
under
don't
a
need no people. You can
Yeah, you
just.
can break
That's
okay,
fine.
your business, your
okay.
rules. You can break
Thank you.
our parameters on the questions because
It wasn't super way more than 100. It was
Yeah, it's
like the end of the generation,
yeah,
like discounted,
yeah.
whatever.
I have an Apple Watch too that I like, but I literally just like. I was saying to somebody recently, if we looked at the manuals for our car, our phone, and our smartwatch, we could do so much more with them than we actually do. Like I'm like very tech
Yeah.
limited because I can figure out what I need to do, but like there's just so much more that my Apple Watch can do that I don't know, you know? So
Oh, yeah, same. It's like it meets my needs so perfectly and so specifically for those few things. But I mean, I'm not wearing it now, it's just like I don't wear it all the time.
I just really
I'm
like
against them
I like the
just because I
activity,
can't be. Yeah, I
the
can't be
activity
distracted.
ring. It makes me excited when you complete it.
Yeah.
And it tracks your sleep too. Like if you chose to sleep in it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I can't wear anything to bed like that.
I would rather be chipped. Like I'm ready for AI to chip me and tell me all about my body composition and what I'm eating, what I should eat, deliver me food. Like I'm as far as like wellness and longevity goes, chip the shit out of me. And track my
I like
sleep.
preventative
Yeah.
medicine.
Yep.
Like we're starting to see some like antibodies we don't like in here. Like what's going on?
Yeah.
This could be a whole nother podcast.
Detoxify me. We have 2 more questions. What's lighting you up lately?
My daughter, we haven't, I don't think I've spoken about her here on the podcast, but her name is Maddox. She'll be 2 in February.
Oh, tiny
Cute.
baby.
And yeah, and my early experience in motherhood was not great, and so perhaps certainly a topic for non-rapid fire, but like she is like talking more, and she can like sing songs, and you can like hear her, like accurately
Do you have
sing the melody and like sing the
do you
words,
have like a
and
Vanna story?
not quite that extreme. Mine was far more on like the postpartum depression side of the
Yeah.
world. And I know like Vanna had shared so deeply like her story and similarities with you
Yeah.
two. But no, mine hit after the fact. My pregnancy was fantastic. My labor was seamless. It was when we got home
It's
that
hard.
all hell broke loose.
Oh, it's
Well,
hard.
and I think so much a testament too of like you prepare for birth, you don't prepare for
After. Yeah.
parenting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Especially then.
one could very easily make the parallel too. It's like people, get ready for a wedding, they don't get ready for being
Yeah.
married, and so that's a different
Oh
topic.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really invested in our, like, because I know that it's easy to get down the details of the tablecloths, and I didn't give a shit about that. I was like, no, we're going to counseling and we're investing in our marriage. Like, if
There
we're
you
going to
go.
do this,
It's
we're
really
going
Love
to
that.
do
smart.
this for the long term. And so I made sure that we did that. And with parenting, I was actually pissed at my friends because
Nobody
I
told
went to
you.
school in Idaho. So many of my friends had kids long before I did, and I was still pretty young. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that this is the most isolating
Right. Right.
experience of my entire life? My body is completely not mine. It's disgusting. Family freaks out. Talk about wedding stuff. Like, it was worse than our wedding as far as family stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, so I feel you there.
I make
Like, it was, I remember holding him and looking out the window like, when can I ever get my nails done again?
and it's like I make it a point to be like when my friends have babies, how are you doing? Like, and they're like, oh, everything's fine, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, give it to
No,
me. How are you doing?
it's
And they're like,
trauma.
my blah 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 blah. I'm like,
Hmm.
what? Okay, okay. Like,
Yep. Well, and thank God that it's becoming so much more part of the
oh
conversation
yeah,
because similarly in my experience, right? Like I'm 6 weeks out. I've done the little survey at the office and
Oh
they're
God.
like,
Uh-huh.
you need some meds. Like, here you go.
yeah,
And, like using that opportunity though, it's just like I always say, like I send out the bat signal and I send it out to like all of my mom friends and then like my other dearest friends, who didn't necessarily have kids, but it's just like, hey, like factually, this is this is what is happening. And just like I'm just leaving this here. I can't ask for anything right now. I don't have the words. My brain
yeah.
chemistry won't let me say the things that I
What do you
need
need? You're
right
like,
now. But I'm just
well,
like,
no.
Yeah. Well, that's the
literally
worst.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
Literally
the
everything
worst
is what
thing.
I
Yeah,
need.
just do
It's the worst
something.
question
Bring
people can
something.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Send food at
Exactly.
a
And
Show
minimum.
up.
That's what I always
Yeah,
say.
show up. Yep. And it's just so grateful that it's like I could be comfortable doing that and that people
That's big.
yes,
simultaneously could
yes.
be comfortable
Yeah.
responding to
I had
that.
people just show up and
And
like hold the baby, and I would
mm,
like go in my room and sleep. I'm like, I'm not okay. Can you just? And they're
I
like,
didn't
yep,
have any
I'm
of
here.
that, but that's
I
cool.
was like, I was like almost not. I was very not
But yeah,
okay.
you were in a
Yeah.
different, yeah, in a different place. People thought I was fine, and I
It's
was
so hard
mostly.
though,
But it would,
but
for
nobody is
anybody,
nobody is just fine. Like
right?
you tell yourself you're just fine, but like you're it's just I think it's impossible to be like perfectly great after. Like
Yeah,
your
yeah,
changes
hormones
your
are
life so
yeah,
much.
like even
Hmm.
yeah. Anyway, I'm glad you're okay and I'm glad that
yeah,
you are
And she's
enjoying
great.
yes, and your mental health is
yes,
better and your daughter is thriving and
I actually
it
remember
is.
that moment with my son too, of like hearing for the first time him humming from the back seat one of the songs that was on the radio, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like he's a real person."
Yeah, so special. And I adore her now, but I just am often grateful that we've gotten to this point. Intact is the word that I use, and I use that very intentionally. Like it was touch and go there for a minute.
I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
get it
I
too.
think moms get it.
Last question: what is one life experience everyone should have?
I mean, I want to say like going on the blocks, but is that corny? No. I
No,
think
it's great.
one life experience, right? Is that a okay answer? I think more broadly, what I want to say is just like to go and do something that you were afraid of, and if that is cage diving with sharks or if that's a skydiving experience or like whatever, just pushing through the fear of something that could be a blocks thing, it could be, whatever. But I do think that oftentimes coming out of those situations where it's like I knew going into it I was going to be afraid, resulted in some of the most interesting things and most interesting like personal developments.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pushing through the fear. We love it.
I mean, I almost didn't get on a plane to get on the blocks. So it's scary.
I was surprised
Because
you
of
went. Honestly, I'm
flying?
surprised you made it.
No, not because of flying. No,
Okay,
because
yeah.
of going to Tulsa, Oklahoma in a group of like 100 people I don't know and like have never met in my whole life and like gonna do this business competition. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. And then I did.
Well, and my fear associated with that was, I'm a fraud, right? I mean, like,
Yes,
and we
yes.
can go down that train a million times
I have
over,
no idea
but
what
like
I'm doing.
my business, right? It's like my business isn't good enough. Like I can't present this information in a meaningful way. Like no one has anything to gain from like my experiences, or like you tell yourself these types of things, and then you get there and just like everyone is like you. Of course, you'll always have those
Yeah.
outliers, right? But it's like so many people feel similarly and just don't ever have the platform to talk about it and to share that and share so openly that when you do, you're like, oh my God,
So
come here.
when season 9 comes out, which is actually in a couple weeks, I think it's going to be early January. I'm so
Nice.
excited and scared, but I know I'm going to be the crier because I kept crying because I kept feeling so like overwhelmed, like good overwhelmed. Like these are my people. I belong here. I mean, I love all of you. Like it was literal, and I'm just going to be on there crying 27 times. So
Oh yeah. Well, no, and that's yeah, leaving the grad school, like I hugged every single person. I was like, I love you. I would literally do anything for
yeah,
you. And I've known you for 4 days. So like,
it's serious. Like I went in not knowing a single soul and I was like, I would literally fight a bear for you right now. I would like
yeah.
and they have your back too. It's just really unique and special and like I mean living with people for a week. You get to know them and love them. And so, yeah. Anyway, that's I love the blocks. We love you, Wes.
You should tell Sam to be on it when you
I'm
talk
gonna
to
tell
her
everyone to
about
be on
Laura.
it.
Yeah.
Everyone, entrepreneurs, if you're listening to this, please apply to be on the blocks. Maybe
Can you be like,
maybe
can you
Laura
give them
and I will
special
cast you.
treatment?
I
Yeah.
mean, we can put in a good word, that's for sure. Laura, how do people find you online? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, easiest is going to be my website, marryment.com, Marryment. Then all of the socials, right? So look for Marryment Weddings there, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. And yeah, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, if you find my TikTok, my second most viewed one sort of went mini viral, and it was a couple rolling a d20 at their wedding, and if that means if you know sort of thing there.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure to get to know you and let's connect after this because we have like, I want to hear about grad school and all this stuff. So
Yes, no, thank you so much for having me. This was such a lovely experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And tune into next week's episode with us for another amazing entrepreneurial